Hi, I'm Daphne, and today I would like to talk to you about how to apply for a position in Canada. As an HR professional for the last 15 years and an immigrant myself, I have lots of observations on some mistakes that people who are looking for a job in Canada are making, and I would like to make it as accessible as possible for you to use the tools that I'm sharing and utilize them when applying for a position in Canada. I would like to start with what you do before you even apply for a position. So the one very important thing to do is to do your research on the company you apply for. So use whatever tools you have with Google or your network to learn about the company, what they do, what their vision, mission, goals, objectives. And when you look at the job posting, a lot of time it can tell you more details about how this position might fit into the organization. Another thing you can search on the company's website is their organizational chart. So it's very important to know where this position is placed, who this position report to, what the titles are like, and a little bit about the structure of the organization, how flat they are. And so it's a valuable information for you to use. So about a cover letter, I know that some countries don't expect candidates to provide an additional letter to their resume. And in Canada, it is very common to ask for a cover letter, and even if you're not being asked to do it, I recommend that you do it anyways. And I'll talk a little bit about the cover letter itself and about the resume. So after you do your research and you plan to start with your application, I suggest that you start with downloading some templates that are available online for cover letter and resumes. I suggest that you use those templates because the HR managers and the recruiters that are looking at your application are used to look at regular templates they're used to in Canada, and their eyes are searching for specific information showing on different areas of your resume. So please use the template you find online. This will make the lives of the recruiters much easier, and they will not be distracted with information that is not relevant or that might be showing on other parts of your resume. So the whole idea is to really make their lives easier for them to look at your application favorably. So after all you've learned about the company and the position, the cover letter is supposed to summarize your qualifications and background and how this might fit into the position you applied for. So on one page, you have to try and fit the most important information. So just a short paragraph about your education and maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs about your experience and how they are relevant for the position you apply for. It's very useful to use some examples and showcase your skills and transferable skills. So even if you didn't do the exact same things they're asking for, it makes sense for you to share what you've done in your previous job that could be relevant to the position you applied for. So what the recruiters and HR managers want is to be able to visualize you taking this role and performing these duties in this new position. So on your cover letter, the easier you make it for them to be able to visualize you in this role, the easier it will be for you to get the job, or at least be invited for an interview. So try to extract from the job posting what do you think are the most important tasks that this job is performing, and by that try to highlight those specific tasks from previous experience and how you can transfer those into the new role. The last paragraph of the cover letter should be an invitation for the recruiter to contact you. So be clear about your contact information and what is the preferred way to get a hold of you. And your personal details that will be showing on the cover letter and on the resume should be as minimal as possible. So try to keep it to your email address only. So don't bother with your physical address or your phone number. Please use a generic email address, so a Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo. This will eliminate any assumptions that recruiters might have on where you are in the world, whether you are local or not. So keep it as clean as possible. It is important that you tailor your cover letter to the position you apply for. This is why each position you apply for might require a separate cover letter. You learn about the position, you know what their requirements are. So on your cover letter, you have to be as specific as possible to the requirements of the position. So if the main tasks or responsibilities of the job you apply for are usually showing on the top of the posting, use those on your cover letter to showcase your experience and how your experience is relevant for the job. So when you do that, you actually make these cover letters specifically related to the position you apply for. This is why one cover letter cannot fit all the position you apply for. So you have to make it specific for each position. So now, when it comes to your resume, it should be up to 3 pages total. So even if you have 20 or 25 years of experience, try to shorten it as much as possible to fit into 2 or 3 pages long. Only keep the information that is relevant for the job. I know that many immigrants come with many years of experience and they try to make a good impression and show everything they've been doing. But please be aware that recruiters in Canada are looking for specific skills and expertise, and showing off on your resume might be perceived as being overqualified and might be perceived as if you didn't make the effort to tailor your application to the needs of the position. So by keeping it short to 2-3 pages, it's really an opportunity for you to showcase the best skills you have that will fit the position. Many times when the application requires only an undergrad degree, and if you have a master's degree, if it's not relevant for the job, you can keep it out. I'm not suggesting that you lie about your education history, but I'm suggesting that you keep only what is relevant for the job. If you have any gaps in your work history, it's better to explain it on your resume. So if you took a year or two to travel between jobs, put those dates in and say that you traveled. You don't need to go into much details, but it's better for the recruiter who is looking at your resume to understand why there are gaps in your professional life. If you are a mom and you gave birth and took some time to raise your kids, it's also relevant for you to just put the dates there and say something like taking care of family. This is truthful, and recruiters and managers are really grateful when you put it there, so they don't need to make guesses of what happened or whether you have anything to hide. So for transparency reasons, just keep it there. So there is going to be a good flow of the sequence of positions you've held, and if you didn't have a position for a certain amount of time, at least the recruiter who is looking at your resume knows what you did at that time. Some people tend to share their hobbies on their resume, and it does give the employer a glimpse of who you are, what your interests are outside of work. It could be useful, and at least show them that you have interests and that you are a well-rounded person, which adds value. But I suggest that you cut it as short as possible and maybe limit your hobbies to 1 or 2, so they know that you have life outside of work and you have other interests, and those might be helping you to keep a work-life balance. One last thing about your personal information. A lot of applicants who are non-Canadians tend to share personal information on their cover letter and resume more than it is actually required in Canada. So people share their marital status, the ages of their kids, they add a photo of themselves. In Canada, this is not required, and it might even be distracting for the professionals looking at your application. So I ask that you keep it out of your cover letter and resume. Employers don't want to be biased for or against applicants, so this information that is not relevant to the job can only harm you. So please keep it out of your cover letter and resume. Put your full name and your email address that should be generic. Some companies have their online application system where you have to put in your information, your experience, your education and whatnot. And in addition, they ask you to attach your resume. Some companies only provide an email address and they expect you to attach the application to an email. In my view, it is important to provide a cover letter, even if you're not being asked to do so. And please combine both files, the cover letter and resume, into one file. This way, the recruiter who is looking at your application has to open only one file, and this makes their lives much easier. I suggest that you try and contact the person responsible for hiring in the company to follow up. So it could be done via email. When you find the organizational chart and you see who might be the person responsible for hiring, you might want to send them a private email and on the subject line state what position you applied for. You can put follow-up, and then in the body of your email just say that you've submitted your application on specific date and you are reaching out to check about the status of your application. And again, invite them to get back to you with your email address and thank them in advance. So this is it. I know that it might be awkward and different from what you are familiar with coming from your home country, but in order to be successful in establishing a job in Canada, it's really important that you try to fit in with the standards that are here. So I really hope that this video helped you get a sense of what is required and what is the best way to put it all together. I will be posting more videos that are work in Canada related, and I'm inviting you to check these out and comment and let me know what you think. Bye for now. Good luck.